Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. We're gonna get started in a few moments. Beth, you ready to get started?
Yep, already on my end.
Awesome, awesome. So I'll share camera here just for a few moments to greet everyone and to say happy Friday. Thank you for joining us today on our financial webinar. As you know, we do monthly webinars, monthly trading webinars. Last month we did on 1099. Next month we may do a volume session. So stay tuned to next webinars. Happy to be here today. Happy to be here with Beth. Today we're gonna share, a training about the backbone of SAP, which is the financial part. And we're going to be demoing that on the latest version of SAP, which is 10.0. But the majority of the session should be relevant for all users of SAP, regardless of your version and regardless of the flavor of the database, whether you are on SQL or HANA. This session is relevant for all. So Beth, with that being said, do you want to present yourself?
Perfect. Yeah, we'll go ahead and kick it off. So like Oren said, we're really excited to be here and continuing our monthly webinar series. And as we go through these webinars, we kind of like to structure them around feedback from our clients. So in this case, wanted to give you more access to understanding what financial tools are available. And as you have, new ideas of what you want to see, let us know, and we'll incorporate that into our webinar series. But I'm really excited to be here and show you some financial capabilities of SAP.
Excellent. Thank you, Beth. So I'm going to stop my camera sharing and we'll get started. So the objective today is really to understand how the different financial elements of SAP works. Everything we're going to share today is going to be based on out-of-the-box capabilities. So no add-ons, no extensions, and so forth. So really looking to share with you what SAP Business One can do, understand the fundamentals of the accounting, and also share a lot of documentation for an additional knowledge that you may want to drill down into. So with that being said, we can get started. So the agenda for today is we're not going to be able to cover everything related to financials, so we may need to do a supplement of a second training to get more granular. But the agenda for today is to start with the chart of account and understand the structure and how to edit the chart of accounts and the different options to view different reporting that may not be based on your chart of account, which is will lead us to the financial report templates. We're going to look at journal entries and different options, and journal vouchers, which basically the draft of a journal entry, different options to automate reoccurring transactions and postings that are happening on a weekly or monthly basis, and so forth. A little bit understanding of the GL account determinations, what options do you have there, what you can control on a yearly basis, how you can further automate your GL account determinations. Look at some advanced items, just to touch on them, like cost accounting, like budget and things of that nature. And we're going to share different, webinars and additional materials that may be relevant for you post this training. And we're going to look at different reporting. Some of them you may know, but others that we want to share with you to make sure you are familiar. They're available for you out of the box. So through the session, feel free to post some questions in the chat. We're going to review them and answer any questions. Maybe it's going to be better to unmute yourself toward the end of our agenda and to ask questions verbally. But not to interrupt the flow of this webinar. Maybe it's best through the sessions. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat. So thank you and good morning. Happy Friday to Mr. Markley as well. All right, so let's get started. Let's see if I have control on the screen, and I do. So the first thing we're going to get started is with the chart of accounts. So we're going to spend most of our time today under the financial area of the system. So we're going to get started with the chart of accounts. And so The chart of account is really the basic structure of all the other reports and the basic for any other definitions. SAP can come out of the box with different types of chart of accounts that you can build on it, edit, add, and so forth. This chart of account actually is the US chart of account that comes out of the box. In addition, there is a US simplified chart of account that comes only with one segment. You may see that you have some green accounts, some black accounts. So by default, everything is black. And when you define an account as a control account, either account receivable, account payable, or that account is being defined in the GL account determination, you will see that as green. So you can see that that account, in addition to being the chart of account, may have some automation and some defaults in that affect different transactions. Okay. The chart of account can have different levels. So you could see here, the different levels. Right now, my chart of account have, header, and you can see that as you, click on it, that it's just the title, not an active account. The active account will have more information and drill down to the balance and additional items we're going to review in the next few minutes. Let's talk a little bit about segmentation. So as you can see here, we have different segments that we could assign. Different reports could also have different, can present, for example, you can present P&L or balance sheet based on a only specific segmentation. So for example, if you are building your revenue and your cost of goods sold based on your item groups or different lines of products, you can see a P&L by that line of product and so forth. So different companies using the segmentation differently. Some will do, by the customer group. Some will do that by the line of products. Some have maybe different companies, so the segmentation will signify the company or the department. So you can definitely do that. Just a note, and Beth will talk about it later, in addition to the segmentation, you can also define cost accounting, which is the menu over here that maybe Beth will touch on that a little bit later. From any account, by the way, as you drill down into that, you can see the balance of the account, and you have the drill down capability, so you can see all the posting for those accounts or only unreconciled transactions and so forth. And from here, if you're periodically at the month end or year end reconcile your accounts, you can always from here do the reconciliation, the internal reconciliation of the account. And if you have any adjustments, you can do that directly from here and so forth. If you check selected transactions and want to do the adjustment, it will prepare that adjustment for you with having that, balance consolidated. Let's go back to the chart of accounts. Let's see, we have a question here in the chat. If you start out with simplified GL, can you switch to advanced later? Great questions, but the answer is no. I believe that once you define that structure of the chart of account, I don't believe you can change it, but let me check really quick. So the definitions of that will be under administration, setup, and financials. So this is where you could define. Let me see.
And Josh, are we looking more so for adding, different GL accounts, or more of GL account determination?
But anyways,
we have simplified defined right now. I was just wondering if we decide we want to go to more segmentation in the future, if it would be possible.
Since it's a demo database, I'm comfortable in testing that. Let's call it I don't know, product line, right? And we update that. Define segment code. I'll have to check it, Josh, and we'll share it in in the summary that we're gonna check after the session. But it may be limited though.
Yeah. So that's a great question, Josh. We'll make sure to circle back on that with you.
And this is why, Josh, in some cases, when the client tells us we don't need any segmentation, we normally even start with a simplified chart of accounts, so you will have an additional segment to use after starting as the company develops. Let's go back to the chart of account and see some additional items here that may be relevant. So, the control account is really just for account receivables, account payables. So as you set your systems, those will be set up as your control account. And every time you touch a client or a vendor, it will know to post that transaction into those control accounts. So under my accounts receivable domestic, in this case, I will see all the transactions that hit any of the clients. And of course, you'll have the drill down capability into the invoice or into the transaction directly from here. Additional things relevant for the chart of account, you have some fields that are related to the cash account, one called cash account, one called cash flow relevant. Cash flow relevant is related to the statement of cash flow, and the cash account is related to the cash flow report. So we have the 3 different cash flow reports that we can take a look at down the road, and those will define if that account is how it's going to behave in different reports. This one, by the way, once you enable that and start having transaction, you cannot change that cash flow relevant. Other things you may want to give, full authorization to the chart of account, but maybe on the equity side, you don't want some people to see those accounts. So you can give full authorization to the chart of account and still have some accounts as confidential. So nobody that don't have that authorization will be able to drill down into this area. As we go into the revenue and other items here, you will have different elements. So you can associate, an account with a project or with the default cost accounting definitions. And in addition, you can have an external code. So if you have a headquarters and you're looking to report with your GL account, but also to have another GL, maybe for consolidation and things of that nature, you can always have that external code. And then when you run P&L or balance sheet, you can default the report to take into consideration either to show the GL account or to show the external account. And then you have a lot of different types of account details. A lot of them are informative. Some of them may be relevant for budget and for other things like this checkbox, and you could inactivate an account and things of that nature, have additional remarks and so forth. Also additional code for exporting in addition to the external code and different categories and so forth. Any questions so far? All right, so if you wish to control the structure of the chart of accounts, we could do a couple of things. So there is a different menu to look at the edit of chart of accounts. So that will show you, hey, do we want to control all of them or just the assets and things of that nature? As you select your drawers and hit OK, it will show you your chart of account. You just need to click the account. Let's say you want to move that to be, that will allow you to choose the drawer if you need to completely move an account between different drawers. Define what is the parent for that account, and define what is the location. Do you want it first? Do you want it third? Do you want it after a specific account, and so forth? So that will allow you to very easily control the structure of the chart of account. Now, if you need to report different things, maybe you want to have your set chart of account, but sometimes you need to present it in a different way to bank investors and so forth. This is why we have the financial report templates that Beth is going to cover in the next few minutes. So with that being said, Beth, I think it's a good way to transition into the templates.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Oren. So like Oren had mentioned, you can edit your chart of accounts if you need to fundamentally change the structure of where your accounts are. But the financial report templates, I would say, is a somewhat underutilized function in SAP, but something that can be really powerful in the case, like Oren had said, where you may need a different view of your financial reports for different management or reporting needs. So I'll jump in here really quick and we can take a look at, maybe our profit and loss statement. And in general, when you run a profit and loss statement, there is an option here that says template. It's going to default to your chart of accounts. So what that means is when you run this report, it will run and display as your chart of accounts structure displays currently. But you saw there that there are a couple other options for the templates here, one called remove drawers 9 and 10. For those of you that maybe are on version 9.3, or have upgraded from another version to 9.3, you may have noticed in your chart of accounts they had added a couple extra drawers. So one of the things that I'd seen some clients doing who may not have used the financial report templates before, but didn't want those drawers 9 and 10 popping up, is they would just create a template here, something like this, where they could remove those drawers instead of, take a look at here. If we generate the standard chart of accounts, you'll see at the bottom, those drawers are just sitting there. In this environment, we don't have any use for those. We don't have any other, different GLs under those. So they're not really relevant when we're running our reports. So if I wanted to create a template where, I wanted to remove those different drawers, all you have to do here is right click, go to advanced, and delete account. So you can go through and, delete different accounts, and in a very similar way to the chart of accounts editing, you can move around different accounts. So maybe you want to consolidate different expenses or things like that. Maybe we're going to put our administrative expenses, with other office expenses and kind of consolidate that. So we can move this, we'll put that there, and we can determine the order again. And then let's say, since we're popping those under administrative, maybe we don't need to see our other office expenses. Additionally, anything that you want to do in terms of renaming these, if we wanted to just, update the name or anything like that, we can update the name here. We'll just remove expenses in this case, just to show you how that looks. Once we tab out, you can see now that this is updated. So again, this is just a reporting template for you to use. It's not going to change your actual chart of accounts, but it will change the ability to report in different ways. So as you update those, again, once you go to your profit and loss statement, you now have the ability to run the reports with the different templates. And this financial report template is available for balance sheet, profit and loss, trial balance, cash flows, and your asset history. The other thing to note, one of the, I think, big benefits of the financial report templates, and an area where I see a lot of users benefiting, is in a lot of these cases where they have different reporting needs, they're taking it, they're running the report, bringing it into Excel and making the adjustments. And in cases where you're having to report, maybe weekly or monthly, maybe you're only spending 5 or 10 minutes in Excel, but as you can see, it's very easy to create these financial report templates. And, that same 5 or 10 minutes, you can create the financial report template, and it saves all of that time, not doing any kind of adjustments in Excel or things like that. So any questions on the financial report templates?
Excellent. Thank you, Beth. Just to answer your question, Josh, while Beth was talking, I was able to test it. So you can edit a segment, at least from 9.3 version up. That's what I tested it with. So there was one more thing I needed to add here. So as you try to add a new segment, you also need to double click that line and add that code here. And that will allow you to add a new segment. All right, with that being said, we're going to continue down the road here of the financials. So really quickly about the account code generator, if you're looking to add new account and automate that, you could do that in a must way and add all accounts related to a division and so forth. You could do that manually, you can do that with DTW, but this is also another way that allow you to generate additional chart of account, GL accounts in an easier way. Let's talk a little bit about journal entry and journal vouchers, because this is an area where we may want to expose some treasures here. So as we look at journal entry, there are a lot of details here, like posting dates, due date, and so forth. The most important thing is the origin. That tells you where the transaction came from and the ability to drill down into the transaction. In that case, JE is a journal entry, so drill down into that, I can see that it came from a journal voucher, which is a draft of a journal entry. As we look at other transactions, you may have different origins, like PU. Drill down into that will show you that it's an AP invoice, or IN will be an AR invoice, and so forth and so forth. So the origin is really important to allow you to drill into the transaction. Now, SAP is a unique system because it's one of the few systems that really post on a real time. There is no batch processing at the back end. There is no, every few minutes it's going to post to your general ledger. It's real time, so it's really important to look at the GL account determination that we're going to cover in a few minutes. But let's look at other items here. The expanded editing mode allow you to see different things on the highlighted lines. So if we look at the line of the customer, we can see different information here related to different refs, the offset account, maybe different due dates on the lines, remarks on the lines, and so forth. You could also highlight other lines and see the same information. A quick thing to make sure is that the same information could be also relevant here. And in the lines, it provides you more information. So if you're looking to see different refs or, different posting dates maybe on the lines and things of that nature. So a lot of those treasures are going to be available in the form settings and will allow you to view different information related to what you're looking to see. So in this case, I see already all my refs, so I'm good and can proceed. As related to those refs, it's really important, and I'm not sure all of you are aware of that. Those ref 1, ref 2, ref 3 are available throughout the system. So even when you go to reconcile externally, internally, do a deposit, bank reconciliation or internal reconciliation, those are available throughout the way, right? So when you look at that screen, and if it's not available, you can always, again, go to the form settings and decide to present ref 1, 2, 3. Those can save you a lot of links, a lot of clicks. So as you look at ref 1, ref 2, ref 3, it's not just the ability to see them, but it's the ability to control them. So as you have different transactions, like for example, invoice, we can control what will be in ref 1, ref 2, ref 3. And let me show you where it's located. So if you look at your menu, it's called reference field links under the administration area. And this will show you all the documents that you have available, or 99 of the documents within the system. So if we look at AR invoice and double click on that, you will see that you have a lot of options. Some of them are defined by default, comes with the system, and some of them that you can define yourself or change. And it has, what will be the references in the header of the document and what will be the reference in the lines of the journal entry. So on an AR invoice, I can decide that from now on, the reference 3 of the header may be the, contact person, or maybe the customer reference number, or maybe the federal tax ID of the customer, or whatever we wish to see, including UDFs. So they added in 9.3 the ability to add UDFs, so even UDFs could be saved in a specific ref, okay? So that's one thing to know, and a great feature to use. Let's look at some other settings that could affect your journal entry. So some of them are available in the document settings. So a couple of things to look at when you look at document settings is, let's start with general. So one of the things is the ability to split journal entry by document line. That will, by far, will increase the database size, because if you have an invoice with 10 lines, now the journal entry will duplicate all those lines. And we use that with only few clients that may wanted to see the item description in the ref 3 of the journal entry. So SAP allow you to split only when you preview journal entry, or completely split it in the actual general ledger. So once you do that, that will split your journal entry into multiple lines as shown in the actual document. And then you can also use the reference, the reference fields that I showed earlier to define that in ref 2, 1, or 3 to show the item description, item number, or any information from the line of the document. Make sense? Okay, the other thing you may want to see while we're here in the document settings is the ability to control different things. So, you know, you have different things on the sales order and many different documents. You know, if you want to have different defaults, if the default is to have the document is approved, and so forth. The two things I wanted to talk about related to accounting is outgoing and incoming payments that allow you to either split the BP accounting journal entry. And that means when I do an outgoing payment and I close, for example, 2 or 3 you know, invoices, and then I pay it with maybe multiple checks, it may be more related when I do incoming payments. You may get incoming payments with different vouchers of credit card and things of that nature. Again, you can decide to split the BP in the journal entry or not. So those are two definitions that may be related. And while we're here, you also have different definitions about journal entries. You know, if you need to do different posting dates in the lines or do different editing, those options are available under this menu.
And Oren, we did have a question in the chat about, so it says, how do customers use journal entry reference fields? Very interesting. So there's a lot from my experience, lots of different ways that clients have been able to utilize those, especially with the addition of being able to bring in a UDF value into the reference fields. So that really opens it up to, you know, support any kind of need along the way. So, you know, different types of AR invoices. Some clients are flagging invoices as kind of a different type of invoice to categorize and report off of them, and they're able to use it that way. But so, and Oren's pulling them up there, but
yeah. So Robert, we have some clients, for example, they wanted to see the check number on the line, so we were able to use that reference fields link to do so. You may have, you know, a shipping type. You know, it's important for you to see that in the journal entry. So any information from the document that you may want to see in the journal entry is going to be a good use case. All right, excellent. So just to wrap up the journal entry, there is, you know, when you look at different documents, I wanted to make sure everybody are aware of, you know, let me choose a client. I'm creating basically a new invoice. I'm selecting just random items here. And especially when you start with a system or maybe you change the setup, you may want to see that your GL account is still behaving right. So in every transaction in SAP that creates journal entry behind the scene, you may have a right click that you want to look at called Journal Entry Preview. It's also available through one of those icons. In this case is this one, Journal Entry Preview. When you do that, the system simulates as if you added that transaction, and it will not add the transaction into the GL, but it will show you how the GL account is going to be affected what it's going to hit, how it's going to hit the COGS, how it's going to hit the inventory. That way you could make sure that it hits the appropriate account, also make sure, you know, the cost is accurate and so forth. So you could do that by journal entry preview. Another thing that you may want to use before you post the journal entry, and it happens a lot at the end of the year or when you want to show your accounting something that you are planning to do, maybe some adjustment, it's called journal vouchers. This is basically a draft of a journal entry. Different reports, different financial reports can consider journal entries or not, so it's a great definitions. And you can always see the open, you know, the ones that are, you know, still to be posted or anything that you posted in the past. So unchecking the open ones will show me everything in the past. And as I look to create a new journal voucher or draft, you know, I can click on that. That will open, you know, a screen that is exactly like the journal entry. I can have my entries entered manually as I wish. You know, right now I'm just going to choose some manual ones. I can add actually multiple journal entries for one voucher. So this is what I'm going to do over here. Yeah, I had to choose a foreign account, and you know, and this is important because I chose here inventory raw materials, and what we really recommend is not to do journal entries for inventory because it's going to mess up your inventory audit report, and it will be hard to show what inventory transactions affected the inventory. So one thing, you know, as you are looking at the chart of account, one thing you could do to mitigate that risk is to block manual posting for those inventory accounts. So even by mistake, you know, a user cannot do that. You can always uncheck that if you really need to make an adjustment, but we recommend really to block those inventory transactions. So let me do that towards the allowance here. I'm gonna add it to the vouchers. And now when I close, I can see that that voucher has 2 journal entries, and then, you know, I can update. So now it saves as a journal vouchers, and it's not yet a journal entry. So if I go to my latest journal entry, I cannot see them. But whenever I want to present that report, I can run P&L, present the journal vouchers as well or not. And then when I'm ready to execute them, I can go ahead to this. I can edit that if I wish to before posting. But when I'm ready to post, I can post the vouchers, and that will post it into a journal entries. And now I have nothing open. Go to my journal entry, and I can see that you know, those 2 journal entries got posted. The origin is the journal vouchers, which I can drill down into from here. So I hope it makes sense. And with that being said, I see we have a few questions, so we'll answer those before we move forward. Question, can you add the BP name to the GL account balance view? Currently, we only see BP number in the offset account field. So that, I believe, could be done again with the reference field link. So I believe you are looking at, you know, let's make sure I understand your questions. So if we look at a vendor or a customer, I guess, and you drill down into the account balance, or you're looking from the GL account actually probably to see that. So you're looking at a revenue account most probably, looking at the account balance, and you are looking at the offset account of the client. That's a great question. I do not believe that the offset of the customer resides here. So you could do 2 things here. You can use the reference link that I showed earlier, so you can see that in one of the refs. So that's one option. The other option is to, I don't think we have it activate here. Oh, we have it activate here. You see that when I hover over that arrow, that it shows me additional information of the client, and this is definable, anything you wish to see. So you could enable that. It's available from version 9.3, so most of you are likely to have. And that shows you a lot of information, and it's available on a customer, on a GL account, on items, so you can see different information. And this is defined under the administration, I believe under utilities, right, Beth? Under
nope,
utilities.
actually it was right, system initialization right on the bottom. Yep, right there.
Tooltip preview, excellent. So the tooltip preview, the tooltip is the hovering and seeing more information, is you need to enable that one time. You don't need to have the users even disconnect or anything of that nature, but it will affect everybody. So I recommend once you do that, you could go to the business partner. This is where you define what you want to see when you hover over a field. Like you see, there are a lot of treasures available, including UDF, so you could have them presented and so forth. So other elements are available as well. Item master data, you can define what you're going to see. If you want to see the item group up above, you can move it up above and so forth. So that's how different items will be presented. All right, Pamela, I hope it helps. Let us know. And I don't see, okay, excellent. Thank you, Pamela, for confirming. And with that being said, we'll continue into the recurring transactions.
All right, perfect. So what we wanted to go into next, now that we've seen and understood how the JE works, or our journal entry, we wanted to look at a couple of different ways that you can automate either recurring postings, so recurring general ledger postings, or recurring transactions, so different documents in the system. So there's 3 different ways that we can do this. One of them is called posting templates. One of them is called recurring postings. And then the last one is recurring transactions. So we'll start out with our posting templates. So here it's under our financials menu. We'll open up our posting templates. And we have an example here that's a contractor payment. So in this case, what our posting templates do are allow us to split up different GL postings that we may be doing by percentage. So in this case, I know that I need to pay my contractor. It's maybe not going to be included in my normal payroll, but I know that whenever I pay my contractor and create that JE, it's all going to be coming from this payroll account, but we have a couple different accounts that are splitting it. So in this case, if you can see that segmentation there, one of them is coming from our general administration payroll expense, and the other one is coming from our sales department. And they're always going to split that contractor pay 50-50. So what this allows us to do now, once we go into our journal entry and go to create a new journal entry, we can click here under template type, and where it says percentage, we'll select that. We go over to our template field and we can see that template right there. And now you can see down here where we have our debits and credits, it pulled in all that information automatically. And let's say, he's getting paid $1,000 here. We add that and it's automatically splitting it up as needed. So this also allows us to split, like in this example by GL. We can also split and use cost centers or projects in this case, and just really help streamline the creation of the journal entry. So that's one option to make your journal entry, addition easier. The next thing that we're going to look at is what's called recurring postings. So in the recurring postings, and we'll take a look at maybe this case for accrued payroll, instead of a percentage here, we have a dollar value, kind of a dollar value set amount. In this case, instead of, you can use it as a template on your JE, but you can also schedule these. So, you might want to schedule this on a bi-weekly base. You can determine here scheduling it weekly, monthly, quarterly, all kinds of different options. And on the date that it's set to be scheduled, so let's say, every 2 weeks you want this to be automated. Then on the day that, it's set to automate on the 22nd, as you log into the database, you'll see your recurring postings for that day, and all you have to do is confirm them. So instead of, making sure that you remember every 2 weeks that you need to make a posting for this, it helps, take that stress off and automate the process.
The other thing that this will allow you is to, refer that to a specific document that exists in the system. If you ever need to do that, that journal entry may be related to a specific document, so you can do that as well.
Perfect. And then this also has, this is that confirmation list. So this is what's going to be popping up when you log into the system and gives you a view. In this case, it's a demo system, so we have quite a few that need to be processed. But you can see your recurring postings, what needs to be posted that day, and select them as needed, and then go ahead and execute. So then our last option for automating these different postings is what's called recurring transactions. So this one actually is not living in our financials menu. There's a couple of different places that it lives depending on where you're looking for it. And let me see, whoops, right up here. Okay, so we'll go to our recurring transaction templates, and this can be really helpful in the case that maybe you have something like a rent payment, where every month you need to post an AP invoice on the 1st to document the rent payment. So what we can do here is create a template. We just name it rent. We can select the different type. In this case, we're using an AP invoice, but any of these documents that you see here on the list can be used for a recurring transaction. Then as you go over here, it'll allow you to create a draft document. So I've created this draft and hooked it to this recurring template here. And what this is saying is that every month we're going to pay rent. It's going to hit this GL and it's going to be this amount. So again, when I log in on the 1st of the month, I will get a notification saying, are we good to process this AP invoice for rent? You can set things like your valid to date, start date, end date, things like that. Additionally, for the recurrence period, I've set this for monthly. That makes sense for rent, but you can set it differently, especially annual payments that might be not at the top of your mind are good to set there. And then also if there's a one-time payment, if you know that there's a payment that needs to be made in the future and you just want to take it off your plate, set it and forget it, know that you need to make that payment, you can use this as kind of a one-time payment in the future as well to automate that. So any questions about our recurring transactions or our recurring postings?
All right, excellent.
And then this screen here is just similar to what we saw for our recurring postings. This is just for our recurring template or our recurring transactions. So again, any of those documents that you have automated will show up here and you can filter and execute as needed.
Excellent. Thank you, Beth. I don't see any, well, I do see one question. If you set up future payment, will they show in cash flow? That's correct. In the cash flow report, you could, and we're going to look at the report shortly, Josh, we could define if to show reoccurring posting or not. So that's a definition within the report, but it is available in the cash flow report. Let's talk a little bit about GL account determination. GL account determination is probably one of the most important things in the system. We won't have a time to cover the whole 9 yards here, so I'm just going to touch the main points. And stay tuned because we're going to share, and I'm going to share it now maybe here in the chat, an excellent document that covers the whole GL account determination and explain everything that we just went through to the field level. Excellent document. Maybe we have it here available. Beth, do we have it here?
Yep. So it's gonna be in our documentation right at the end. But this is our GL account determination, and there's a link at the end of the presentation where you can open this.
Yep. So this excellent document by SAP US team, provide you really excellent preview on everything related to GL account determination, every field, every definition, how it affects different transactions and so forth. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go back to SAP to cover the main points I think are relevant. So The GL account determination, sorry, it's under the setup area of the financials. And under the GL account determination, you have multiple things. Those are related to inventory and resources. The main one is right over here. And you can get to the other windows directly from the main GL account determination area. So it's split into different items: sales, purchasing, general inventory, resources, and WIP. Resources and WIP are more relevant just for production type of companies and companies that use the resource and production heavily. Under the sales, the account receivables are going to be shown up here, but this is irrelevant for the US localization, as well as the tax is irrelevant for the US localization. More relevant for European companies that are doing VAT. In the US, we have sales tax, and this is covered through a webinar we did a few months ago. So feel free to check our, and maybe Beth, you can share it here in the chat, the link for the sales tax that we did. So this is covered under a different webinar. So let's go down here. We have the account receivables to define here, account payables. When you use the system chart of account basic, those accounts will become as a default, but you can still change them or majority of them before you start to work and even after. For example, this defines the checks received. When you receive a check, what account by default it's going to hit. When you deposit, which account is going to hit. If you're doing overpayment, underpayment, and you allow that, if you close an invoice with a payment and you have 50 cents, you may want it to automatically go to, overpayment or underpayment account, payment advances if you do down payment and so forth, cash discounts, revenue account, and sales credit account. This will be the default for your revenue and when you do a credit memo. But those two accounts is, in many cases, are irrelevant because in many cases, your system defines to take those accounts for the item group or from the warehouse. So in many cases, you may want to have those by default as a do not use account and things of that nature. In a similar way, we have same structure under the purchasing. So under the purchasing, we have the account payables, and you can split account payables, domestic and foreign. But majority of our clients have that as the same accounts. Bank transfer default, cash discounts, overpayment, underpayment, and all similar things that we've seen under the sales tab. Generally, it's relevant for a lot of general, setups like credit card fee setup. If you are using credit card and would like to automate those fees, that will go into that account. Sometimes you do some routing, so rounding discrepancies will go into that account. We have things that we use maybe once a year, like the period end closing. So even if it's empty, it's fine because it will allow you to set it up in the year-end closing, which actually we have another webinar on that we did a couple of months ago. And opening balances account and so forth. So all of that are under general. The inventory account, again, it's a little bit tricky because in many cases you may use the item group to define what will be the inventory account in the transaction. So many of them could be as do not use. So it will force you when you create a new group to actually define that in the group. So you have the inventory account, you have the cost of goods sold account, different variances account. If you do allocation account, price difference account, price difference. For example, if you have a price on the good receipt PO and you change that price in the AP invoice, that will hit that account. Adjustments to inventory, when you adjust your inventory, what accounts is going to hit. When you offset accounts to increase or decrease, many different inventory options. And again, if you may not sure about one of them, take a look at the document we just shared, and it's very detailed and will tell you exactly what it does. Resources, I'm not going to explain, but if you use the resource of SAP Business One, that will allow you to set up different costs. Most of our companies that are using that mainly use for labor and for machines, but you have up to 10 different GL accounts to choose from, and the WIP mapping. Sometimes when you have a long production process, you may want to define those WIPs, so those variances will be posted on a timely manner. So this is kind of cover the GL account determination on a very high level. A couple of advanced options you may want to know. By default, it will copy those settings through the years. But if you go from one year to another, you will be able to adjust your GL account determination for a year. So if you're looking to make any significant change on the start of a new year, you could, as you open the year, you can go into the different GL account determination and change it. And any posting that you do on 2020 period, it will take the GL account determination defined for that year, and anything that you do in 2021 will take into consideration the new definition. So hopefully that helps. And in addition to all of that, SAP came, I believe, in version 9.2 with a GL advanced GL account determination that allows you to do so many things, you know, not just to define and to automate the GL account determination based on item group or warehouse. That will allow you to do based on a combination of two, or based on a customer group, or maybe for a specific big account, you want to have the revenue account go to a different one. So this window really allows you to do so many things. And again, you can define it per period. The first thing I would do is define what is my determination criteria. What do I want to base my advanced GL account determination? You could do that based on, you see that you have item group, item code, warehouse code, a lot of different things available here. You also have a lot of UDFs you could do. So you could even do a UDF here, and you have a BP code and so forth. So for example, if I want to expose it to the BP type, which is the group of the customers, I'm going to do that here. And then as I create new rules, or, you know, override those rules, I could do, you know, cust group maybe, and then I can define, you know, what is the type. I can leave it empty. Maybe I can do a combination of item group and a BP type. But then I can say, you know, if it's a company or private, or, you know, if I'm looking at the item group, if it's, you know, a specific item group, then I can go ahead and define my different GL accounts. And all the accounts that we've seen in the GL account determination are going to be here. So the revenue account, the cost of goods sold account, the expense account, variances account, and so forth. So this is a very robust way to automate your accounting and how different, you know, how the system behaves when you transact different documents. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So with that being said, Beth, maybe you can cover just in a couple of minutes the advanced items. I don't think we have the time to get more granular.
Yeah, no problem. So the couple advanced items that we've had that are related to finance, but, you know, are kind of bigger topics on their own. First one being budget. So we've done a budget webinar in the past and have written up a nice blog about this. You can find it on our website, and it's linked in our documentation. And clients have even been able to use this documentation to set up budget for themselves. It's really thorough and shows you all of the different configurations that need to happen, and you know, what needs to be done to set up a budget, and then also use that in your reporting. You're able to set up different budget scenarios and create budgets off of last year's actuals and things like that. Again, I think it's a somewhat underutilized function, but something that can be really helpful and powerful. And then just another note on that, you are able to either create a warning or block a transaction that would cause the budget to be exceeded. And that would be, it's just a simple setting in there. And So nothing advanced that's needed to set up, but that warns the user or blocks the user from adding that transaction if it exceeds the budget for that account. Beyond that, another advanced item that we have covered before, have done a webinar and a blog, is fixed assets. So feel free to check this out if this is something that you're needing to manage. Really useful for companies that may have large or expensive equipment and are needing to manage their capitalization and depreciation within SAP. And then the last advanced item, which we have not covered in a webinar before, but if there is interest, we're happy to do a separate webinar on it, is cost accounting. So Oren mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this is for generally larger companies that are needing an additional layer to what the chart of accounts offers, and more granularity in terms of managing their financials per department, and really being able to separate revenues and expense accounts for different departments.
Excellent, thank you, Beth. And I just shared all those, links to the relevant topics in the chat. So, and again, we're going to share them in a few moments as well. All right, the last thing we wanted to cover is really the financial reporting. I'm going to go through that real fast. You all know probably the P&L, trial and balance, and things of that nature. The one thing I would say in related to what we started at the beginning, so when you are looking to see the external account, that's the definitions here. Choosing P&L just for a specific segment is going to be defined here. And one great thing that you may be aware, in version 10.0, they added those drill downs in financial reports. So this is great. So as you're looking to explore that 500 from the beginning of the year until today, you can always drill down into the balance, and if you have those dates accordingly, from the beginning of the year until today, you will see exactly what is the breakdown of that 500. And once you did that, you click OK. It will save that definition. So next time you're looking to see what is this 5281 while running the P&L, you could just do that, and you will see the details of that P&L. So this is a great feature they added in 10.0, worth looking at. The other thing you may be looking at, I talked about cash flow reports. So there are two reports that I mentioned. Statement of cash flow report, which is not being used a lot. It's more for public companies that may need to present a statement of cash flow in a specific way. So that is one report that is available. The other one is the cash flow report that allow you to see, your cash accounts, the defining the cash account and the GL accounts, credit card, which is a second level security, checks, and then account receivable, accounts payable, that is third security. And Josh, we talked about different options to present reoccurring posting and vouchers and all of that. So once you check that, it will show you not just if you're going to consider them, but what document you want to consider from those. If you have anything that never recorded in your accounting, but you want to consider that manually, you can do that here. And then, what is the timeline of the cash flow? Is it this week, next week? Do we want to run it weekly, monthly, and so forth? And as we run it, we can see that in a consolidated way, or we can see that in a, sorry, something happened here. So let me run it again. So let me run the weekly internal error. I'm not sure what happened. Never happened to us before. So we'll see that. Maybe I did something here. I'll try to uncheck that. So we can just see the report. So it will show you based on your dates. It will show you the different weeks with the opening balances. And as you're looking to see the different areas, you can expand that, and it will show you that in different securities levels, security level 1, 2, and 3, and will show you all the relevant transactions available with them. So in my case, I don't have much data, but the balance will really help you manage your cash flow. And again, additional treasures here. What do you want to see? Maybe you don't want to see, as you're within the report, you don't want to see the debt to your vendor, so you can uncheck that and not consider that, and also additional options. Couple of other reports that are important and worth mentioning, and hopefully everybody have a few more minutes, but because it is very involved session, so we're probably gonna extend it in 5 more minutes if that's okay. And anyways, it's recorded, so we're gonna send the recording right afterwards. So the P&L, if you want to compare between even multiple databases, you could do that by logging into a secondary database and compare between different years. But if you want to compare between, last year to this year, so I'm gonna do, this is my current year, so 1/1/20 maybe until 12/31/20, and then 1/1/19 until 12/31/19. And then different options of the report, and then we could see, the comparison between this year and last year, and so forth. So this is a nice report to be aware of. The other report is that it's really a great treasure. This is, I think I talked about it when we did the webinar of Out of the Box report, but you really want to look at 2 reports that are great. I know you're using a lot of the aging report, but the general report is really the most amazing reports that are available in SAP. Anything you wish to see from accounting perspective can be found by here. Even if you want to look at the open good receipt PR that was relevant for 12/31 at the end of last year, you can do that because you can display only unreconciled externally for a specific period. But if we do all posting, I'm not going to double dip. I'm going to do just the accounts because you can see that from account or from the business partners. Endless options here, how you want to see your reports and how you want to sort and summarize. But the most important thing is that expanded button that allows you to see only manual journal entries, or show me only the AR invoices and credit memos. Or you know what, I have 371.56 that are posted, but I can't find it anywhere. So you can filter by a specific amount, by a specific project, and so forth and so forth. Make sense? Even by specific details, if you have remarks on the journal entries. So this is your general ledger report, and every time you execute, you can also save different selection criteria. So you can, have maybe a multiple options that you run it by. So instead of clicking and remembering what you clicked, what not, you can just save those selection criteria, and then it will be available for later. All right, and I think, we have a few other reports we wanted to cover, but I think we cover a lot of them with our webinar called Out of the Box Reporting. So we're going to share it here as well. Specific items related to HANA is irrelevant for this session. So we're going to conclude here, share with you our documentation, and kind of wrap up this webinar of today. But we do have one question, Beth, from Nuris. Can I run trended reports in balance sheet or trial balance? That is currently not available in the SQL version, but there is a couple of trend reports available in the HANA version. Maybe reach out to me after this webinar so we can drill down into that need, if that's okay.
Perfect. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Just in summary, we covered our chart of accounts today, structure, editing, and how you're able to adjust that for different reporting needs, our journal entries, and then kind of what our journal entry drafts are, which are called our vouchers. We looked at different ways to automate journal entries and transactions through our recurring transactions and postings. Different options for GL account determination and advanced GL account determination. Quickly reviewed our advanced items like budget, fixed assets, and cost accounting. Went through some important reports as they relate to finance, and then our documentation. So I know we've shared it throughout, and Oren's added some links to the chat, But as we post our blog early next week, these will all be available there too. A couple important ones to note. This is that GL account determination document we shared. A YouTube video going into a little more depth on cost accounting. And like I said, let us know if it's something you're interested in, and we'll do a webinar on that. And then some of the more important webinars that we've put on relating to financials. So 1099 processing, budget management, fixed assets, year-end activities, and then our out-of-the-box reports. And then if you aren't a part of our Tips and Tricks LinkedIn page, feel free to join that. We always are sharing different tips to make your life easier, or to teach you things about SAP Business One that you may not have known. So feel free to join there. And I know we went a little over on this session, so I appreciate everyone sticking through it with us and asking great questions throughout. But of course, if you do have any other questions, feel free to shoot us an email, and we're happy to help out and answer anything that we can.
Thank you, Beth, for this wonderful joint session together. I missed that. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday. And we're going to stay here for a couple of more minutes in case some questions around everybody. And have a great weekend. Thank you. Any questions? Feel free to open up your microphone. So can you explain again how to add the drill down arrow to accounts on the reports, for example? So Pamela, I'm not sure which version you're on. You don't need to do anything. If you're on 10.0 version, it will be so 10.0 is out already, patch level 4 or 5, I believe. We have about a handful of customers that are on that version, fairly stable. We are at this point, we are very comfortable with recommending upgrade to that version. So it's more of version related, less than activating that feature. Any other questions? Feel free to open up your microphone or enter it in the chat. All right, excellent. I see no further questions. So again, thank you, everyone. Appreciate you joining us and look forward to our next month webinar. So thank you and have a great weekend again. Keep it safe and safety. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.